I feel like I can do anything now. Who can catch lightning in the bottle? Set fire to water coming out the nozzle on the fire hose. Fly it and swat us. Cinderella man, Cinderella man, Cinderella man, Cinderella man. Smash an hourglass, grab the sand, take his hands and cup 'em. Spit around the freezer clock, take the hands of time and cuff 'em. Cinderella man, Cinderella man, Cinderella man, Cinderella man. There's a storm coming that the weatherman couldn't predict. I start the ball prick, you better flee cause I get ticked. It's a wrap, I was down, when I was down I was kicked. I got up, I'm back to punch it to the ground.
In the game of softball and baseball alike, home runs are advantageous to earning fast points. Home runs, however, are difficult to achieve since the factors which allow a ball to travel beyond the distance of the field are beyond the skill of the batter alone when incorporating the speed of the angle of the pitch. Ultimately, the ability to bat with enough control to place the ball in a desired zone is one of the many keys to winning the game. In this video, we will analyze the impact which takes place during a batting swing, then demonstrate our experimental methods and calculations. A standard baseball or softball swing involves a few simple steps. First, place your hands one on top of the other on the grip of the bat, with your feet shoulder-width apart. Then, raise your hands up to your ears while loading your weight onto your back leg. As you step forward, you begin to swing to make contact and then follow through.
Kicking off her 16th season.
Thank you. Today, we welcome a biomedical engineer, Sanya Dar, who specializes in impact.
Hi, how are you?
Good to see you, good to see you.
Great to see you as well. All right.
So how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. I hear you have an experiment you'd like to talk about today?
Yeah. All right. So basically, me and my friend the other day, we stopped in the field house at Union College, hitting some tees, throwing around some bats and balls. And, we were kind of getting a little competitive. She was using a wooden bat and I was using a composite bat. We wanted to see what happened with the ball and the bat and how much velocity was transferred. So to do that, we decided to look at oblique impact. So we had this experiment. And in that experiment, we put the ball on the tee and we hit the bat horizontally onto the ball and we stopped. And once the ball stopped, we wanted to see how far it went. And basically, that's important because the coefficient of restitution is the value of the impulse force which pushes the two particles apart after impact. And this relates the input and output velocities of the particle. And the coefficient of restitution is only in the x direction because impulse forces only occur in the line of impact.
Oh wait, I think I read an article recently where the NCAA has a rule that the coefficient of restitution has to be 0.5 or lower.
Oh yeah, actually to talk about that, I brought in one of my athlete friends over here. She's a softball, athlete. I brought her in to talk about it. So let's bring her in.
Thank you.
Welcome.
So, coefficient of restitution, huh?
Yeah.
All right, so
everything.
I read that article too, and it's just important to note that wood bats, which are used in baseball, have a coefficient of restitution around 0.5, and softball bats aren't made of the same material. They're made of more metals and composite metals. So what the NCAA decided to do was make sure that the coefficient of restitution of these composite bats was more similar to that of a wood bat, just to make sure that the playing field was even and that there wasn't too high of an elastic force within the bat, which would cause the ball to go further once it was hit, because a more elastic force causes the particles to separate faster, which will just make the ball move a little faster and go farther.
How interesting.
Yeah. For our calculations, we decided to use oblique impact to analyze the velocity of the ball after the impact as well as the effect of the coefficient of restitution. This diagram demonstrates the concept of oblique impact. Particle A collides with particle B with its velocity VA1 at an angle of theta1, and particle B's velocity VB1 at an angle of phi1. This impact causes both particles to move away from one another with velocities VA2 at an angle of theta2 and VB2 at an angle of phi2. The coefficient of restitution is the value of the impulse force which pushes the two particles apart after impact. This relates the input and output velocities of the particle in the equation demonstrated below. The coefficient of restitution, E, is equal to the difference of the output velocities over the difference of the input velocities. For our experiment, we limited the unknown variables in order to observe the effect of the coefficient of restitution on the velocity of the ball after impact. In this diagram, the angle at which the bat impacted the ball was entirely in the x direction, or the line of impact, which is 0 degrees. The ball was placed on a tee, which ensured that the initial velocity and angle of the ball were both 0. The bat was stopped after the impact, allowing the final velocity of the bat to be 0. Coefficient of restitution must be calculated entirely in the x direction because impulse forces only occur along the line of impact, which in our case is the x direction. This made our coefficient equation take the form of the coefficient of restitution, E, is equal to the velocity of the ball times the cosine of the angle at which the ball leaves the tee over the velocity of the bat.
Using the software tracker, we were able to set the point of origin on the center of the ball. A cone was positioned approximately 1 meter horizontally from the tee as reference for calibration. The height of the tee was used as a constant at approximately 0.5 meters tall. To find the velocity of the bat, we assumed that the path of the swing was perfectly horizontal. Next, the software tracker gave us data for time and points in the x direction. Here, the y direction was disregarded, considering we assumed the swing was perfectly horizontal. Finally, we used the change in x over the change in time to find the final velocity of the bat. Next, we found the initial velocity of the ball using the software tracker. Here, we assumed that the swing of the bat had stopped perfectly at the instant of contact with the ball. Using tracker, we collected data for time and points in both the x and y directions. We were able to find the initial velocity of the ball using the change in x direction over the change in time. Lastly, we found the angle theta that the ball leaves the tee using the inverse tan of y over x.
Using the coefficient of restitution equation, the values found in our tracking software, the velocity of the bat and the angle of the ball leaving the tee, as well as the experimentally determined coefficient of restitution value of 0.5 for NCAA certified bats, the velocity of the ball was determined for all 3 trials. The standard deviation of the 3 trials was 0.285, which while this isn't less than 0.05, it is still a relatively good standard deviation.
As you can see, when a ball is hit, the person swinging supplies force through torque, rotation, or translation. In our theoretical calculation of the ball's velocity, none of this external force was taken into account. This explains why our experimental values were different than our theoretical data. The experimental values were higher than the theoretical values because when swinging a bat, your arm can create an additional force that would increase the initial velocity.
There were a few sources of error that we noted during this experiment. First of all, the bat isn't completely level with the ground, so therefore the velocity of the bat is not completely in the x direction. Also, the bat does not completely stop after contact with the ball. Lastly, we do not account for all of the forces within the bat swing, as previously stated.
That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below. Anything else to add, Sonia?
I don't think so.
Okay, we'll see you around. Thanks for watching.
Bye!
Wait. Lauren, can you help me? I can't figure out how to stop the screen recording. Okay, I'm just gonna Google it.
Well, she said that coefficient of restitution is between 0 and 1. So you say, like, the closer the coefficient of restitution. Hit it. Hit it, Frankie.
I'm looking at So this is what we did. So we walked our little legs up to the field house. We went to the batting cage, and we put in this song.
We walked our little legs.
Yeah. You got it?
Okay. Ready? Coefficient of restitution. I'm ready. Ready?
No.
I'm not ready. Am I good? Okay. Oh wait, I think I read an article recently where the NCAA has a rule that the coefficient of restoration.
Restitution.
No, I'm gonna do it. I'm not gonna be able to do it. Okay, ready? I'm just not ready. Do you want to just? Yep.
So I'm starting now. When you're ready, you can go ahead.
Oh wait, I read an article about the coefficient of restitution.
No, I know what I'm supposed to say, but it's just me getting out the one word. Okay. Wait, you are or not?
No, I am.
Okay. Oh wait, I think I read an article recently where the NCAA has a rule that the coefficient of restitution.
You were so calm, and then you just go.